members of the Kent International Law Society. In today's episode of Legally Kandid, we will interview Johanne Thompson, which you might know as Jo, given her extremely friendly personality. Jo has been part of the Kent Law family for more than a decade, so we could not think of a better person to investigate into the legal academia. If that's not enough, alongside her career as a lecturer, Jo also dedicates her time and effort into judging international competitions for legal skills such as client interviewing, mooting, and negotiation. Finally, Jo is a criminal law lecturer teaching to both undergraduate and senior students, so we are hoping to get some juicy stories from her wealth of experiences. Please warmly welcome her.
Hello, Jo.
Hello, everybody. That's quite an introduction. I'm quite accurate actually as well.
Well, that's great. We love precision. But I think, as I said to Guevara yesterday in yesterday's podcast, while we were recording yesterday or the day before, and I was telling him, that I do watch this podcast series, right, by a gentleman called Anas Bukhash, and he always asks his guests at the beginning of the podcast, "How are you really doing?" So, Jo, tell us, how are you really doing?
I'm not sure you should really ask that question at the end of the term of the academic year, because I think we're all absolutely on our knees. But no, I mean, still enjoying the teaching, enjoying the students, some of them anyway. And it's hard. Academia is hard at the moment. I think the sector is feeling it right across the board. But I think doing the things with the students, the scholarship things with the students, I think actually makes it all worthwhile in the end. And when you hear people winning competitions and getting through to the next round and everything, it's quite exciting. So apart from the tiredness, it's still going well. As a student and a member of staff, I've been at Kent for 20 years now, so that's 2 decades. So that's a long time. That's actually probably more than you two are actually aged, actually, isn't it?
I'm just 2 years older than that, but that's okay.
Oh.
Well, I mean, that's a long time to get to experience the life as an academic. And I'm pretty sure not many people know about how you became a lecturer. So if you could talk us through about the transition from the practice area to academia, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, well, I am quite old now, so that's quite a thing that I've had. I mean, this is kind of probably my 3rd career, although I don't think you could call the other 2 careers. But my first dip into sort of like the working world was in hospitality. So I used to run pubs and clubs as sort of like a youngster. And then circumstances happened where I met my ex-husband, and I ended up working for Peugeot, the car manufacturer, for 11 years. So I do long stay with when I'm at work sort of thing. So I'm quite loyal when I'm working for people. But I think I ended up selling cars in terms of the Peugeot dealership, and I absolutely hated soul destroying, selling things. I'm good because I'm good at people, but I'm not very good at the hard sell, because I kind of don't like that kind of pushiness. And in the last year before I left, I actually decided I wanted to do something using my brain. So I thought, what can I take as a course? And I actually found an A-level law course at night school. So I did the 2 years in 1 year because I wanted it done, because when I make a decision, I want to get everything done fast. And I thought, I'm getting old now, I need to do this in 1 year. So I did the 2 years in 1 year. So did AS law on a Tuesday night, did A2 law on a Thursday night, took my exams. Absolutely loved reading the criminal law, because I always think of them as stories, which is probably wrong in one way. But if you don't want to be sort of like traumatized by the stories themselves, because they do happen to real people, but I treated them as stories, and I absolutely loved all that. And I actually thought, right, I'm going to go back to university, which I did in 2004. I did go to bar school, but realized halfway through I didn't want to practice, and I just wanted to teach, because I enjoyed teaching. Because I was an older student, I actually enjoyed teaching the younger students that were in my degree with me or at bar school. So I kind of liked teaching those kind of things. And I thought, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I enjoyed being a student. Sort of like mid-30s, I enjoyed being a student. So I thought, how can I be a student and get paid for it? Oh, I'll ask them if I can go back to uni and become a lecturer, which is what I did. And then, I worked as an hourly paid lecturer for a couple of years, I think about 5 years before I became full-time. And then it just progressed from there since 2008. So yeah, it's kind of I say a whirlwind, but it wasn't really a whirlwind. It took a long time to get to where I am now, but it was all because I was bored and selling cars. But I opened a law book and got completely and utterly immersed in it, and I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. So, and I've stuck to criminal law ever since. Although I had to teach critical introduction to law for a few years, and EU law as well. Oh, I shouldn't have said that on podcast, because otherwise my head of school might think, oh, she can teach EU law. But no, so criminal's always been my passion. But also, I know this is a long answer, but I think as a student, I didn't have the opportunities there. There was only mooting available. So when I became a lecturer, I organised the mooting competition at the Medway campus. But I actually thought there's got to be more to it, because I was in sales, so I knew how to talk to people. But a lot of students didn't have that opportunity to have the working environment, because they just came straight from school. So I started looking into negotiation and client interviewing, and I set up the client interviewing at Medway in 2012. And it kind of like morphed into what we've got now, and it's being run brilliantly by Lucinda. And obviously, I'm teaching negotiation now, and so I always wanted to make sure that students have opportunities to learn while they're in that, sort of like safe environment at the university, rather than getting out in the real world and going, oh my God, what the hell is this? So, that has been my thing since I started helping students.
We are very glad, especially for the negotiation lawyering skill. Personally, I'm very glad. It was amazing, and I recommend it to everybody listening.
Oh, it's good fun. I mean, the thing is, you have your hard things with doing the actual, academic work, but the skills that we want in the lawyering program that we do, it's just such good fun in trying to teach what you've actually been learning, but to put it into practice. But again, safe environment, so you can have fun with it as well as learning from it too.
Thank you.
Jo, throughout what you were saying, I mean, it is fair to say you've had quite an illustrious career, whether it was prior to Kent or during Kent. But I think, I think you highlighted really well that boredom does get you far in life. Because you never know what you can end up essentially doing when you're bored. But I think it would be important to hone in on your time at Kent. So you're here for almost 16 years now. And so throughout the 16 years, at what point did you feel professionally content, seeing as you've had quite a few changes in career?
Professionally content. I think after the first few years where you are hourly paid and you're working your way up, I think becoming senior lecturer and then getting senior fellowship, because that awards you for your leadership skills in some kind of way. I think that for me as a professional in the academic world, because I don't have a research area that sort of like as a doctorate or anything like that. So my focus is scholarship, the scholarship practice, which is teacher focused. And so being awarded a senior fellowship for the Higher Education Authority, I think that's probably the where I am now. I think is probably where I'm more content, but there's still further to go, which this is what I want to do in the future. But I just need to get through this year first, and then we'll think about where to go from that. So I think it's when you suddenly become promoted and you start getting recognized for the work that you're doing. I think that's when you start becoming content, because if you don't have a PhD behind you. You kind of feel as if you're on the, we shouldn't feel like that because we have other skills than research, but you know, it kind of like you always feel as if you're on the back foot, because we have to prove ourselves even further. So I think, you know, I was probably one of the first scholarship academics that was promoted to senior lecturer, and so, you know, it's kind of those kind of things that you think, okay, now I'm starting to get somewhere and I'm starting to be listened to as well.
Yeah, I think that idea of being listened to is very important, and just sort of also being recognized for the amazing things that you do. But no, but genuinely, that's really nice to hear.
Thank you.
You know, Joy, it's very nice to let our members know that you not only are a great mind of the Kent Law School, but you also recruited some of the greatest minds that the Kent Law School have had the pleasure to meet. For instance, during our podcast and interviews with Emek and Guevara, we got to know that it was also, and especially thanks to you, that they are now part of the law school. So do you feel this kind of responsibility towards the Kent Law School community by introducing great minds like them, or do you feel like this is just one of those things that happen and then they later become fortunate events?
Yeah, I think responsibility, I think that's a strong word. I mean, I suppose in a way you are responsible for how, you know, the students are taught, so you want good people. And I mean, Guevara and Emek were both really fantastic students, and I could see the ethics they had in themselves and their principles of what they were as students. And so when opportunities came up, they're the first people I kind of thought of to think these would be really, really good people to be able to teach students. Because when I was a student, I wanted to be taught how I would teach, and I teach how I wanted to be taught. And I think that's really, it's a rare thing to have people that can be really good teachers. I mean, you could be really you know, intelligent and this, that, and the other, but it doesn't automatically mean that you can actually convey those ideas over to students. It's hard work. So, you know, when I see people like Emek and Guevara, and you think, you know, they were very engaged as students, you know, you knew that they were the sort of people that you wanted on your team, because you have that camaraderie, you have that you know that the students are going to be in safe hands. So I think it's not a responsibility to KLS. It was just, I was quite happy to make sure that people got those opportunities to, you know, to use what skills they have to teach students, because I mean, students at the end of the day are what, you know, you make our jobs safe. That's that's probably a bit hard to say in these climates at the moment, but you know, it's also, you know, you pay the wages in one way, and we want to make sure that you get the best education from the best teachers, and that's why. So I'm trying to think of another word of responsibility, but it's too early in the morning and I can't think of what the other word is. But I think I think we are fortunate that we do meet these people, and when they come on board, it's just like it's so satisfying and rewarding that you think, yeah, we've got them.
Very good to know.
So, Joe, what you said was amazing, because honestly, like, I think it's that teamwork and that camaraderie that, you know, that builds the greatness, you know, that transpires across the student community. But I think it's important also to highlight how much of an impact, I guess, you've had on the student community. And so when I was sending you these questions, I did put down like a surprise question, right?
I noticed that.
Yes. So there's two people that have a bit of a, you know, they've expressed how they feel about you, and I think it's important that we read it out.
Oh God. Right. Okay.
I hope it's not cringy. And
I cringe at anything that somebody says nice about me, because I'm not. I hate. I don't. I really don't like it. But
but once in a while is fair. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's your podcast. I have no control over you, Wadana.
No, but we have to. I feel it's very important. Otherwise, it would be like unjust. So this first individual said, "You're free to guess if you want to guess who said it." Joe was one of the first people I connected with at Kent. She made me feel at home, cracking jokes and stories about Canada right off the bat. Generally, she's been my go-to person, and I've relied on her for help and guidance a lot, as I know other students have as well. She never turns anyone away and makes it a point to help students, even after they have graduated, whether it's by connecting them through job opportunities and or being a reference. She's made me feel heard and appreciated, and she's gone out of her way for me on multiple occasions. I truly appreciate everything she's done, especially for the Canadian students at Kent.
Oh, that's very nice. It's good to hear that you have an impact, but yeah, it's very cringeworthy, Madonna.
No, I can imagine, but this one it might make you laugh considering who wrote it.
Okay.
But it's gonna get funny maybe in like the second part. But anyhow, Joe has been an unbelievable supporter and motivator for myself. She's been there through thick and thin. Joe, you have no idea how much you have helped me with my self-esteem. The amount of times I doubted myself, and somehow you've always been there to make it better. Everything I have achieved today is because of your and Govara's help. Law school wouldn't be the same without you both. And of course, the school tasking. I'll miss you, Joe, mummy of Kent Law School. Love you, and if you ever need help with anything, I'm just one call away. So, Joe, do you understand? I'm not saying through these examples, but perhaps these are just some of the examples of the many ways students feel about you. But do you understand how much of an impact you've had throughout your time here at Kent?
Um, I mean, I mean, I've always been somebody that likes to help, and it does make me laugh that you call me the mummy of law school, but you call Emick the princess. I'm
The
thinking, I'm not
Queen,
sure.
yes.
So the queen, like the queen, I was thinking, oh, she's the queen. So how far up can I go up? And I've just been relegated to mummy. Um, but no, I think I've always had that instinct to help people. So if I can, I will. And I and I I don't know what it is. I mean, I think that's half my problem why I'm so tired is because I never say no to people. And I think that's something I really do need to start doing. But in terms of impact, I like keeping those connections. So yes, I mean, it's like I've got 3 opportunities now for some students for work because people are getting in contact with me, and I really love that fact that people can still connect after they leave. So it's nice to hear that I do have an impact on people's lives, and it does make you feel that through all the hard times that we go through, it's worth it, because this is why we do the job that we do. Because if we're helping people through it is a tough degree. I've been through it, I've been through it. I've been there. I've done it, like most of us have. It's tough. Um, but what upsets me a little bit is that because I have done it, I do try and tell people this is what you need to do. And when they like look at you and think, oh, what do you know? That's when I get a bit, because I know, because I've been through it. I know what's going to come and what the challenges you're going to face. So I have quite a few students over the years that have said I can't do this anymore, and I get them into my office and I give them a pep talk and tell them, yes, of course you can. You've gone through 2.5 years. Why are you leaving now before the last exams? Don't be so ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, it is nice to hear, and I'm glad that people recognize, and it's not just me, it is other people that have impact on them. But that's what I mean. We need that good camaraderie between me and my comrades, and but it's nice to hear.
Joe, based on what you've been telling us so far, I am now curious. Is it because that this is what you missed while you were at university, or is it because you also had these opportunities and these kind of mentors in your life that you're pursuing in being one for your students?
I think I mean, I've always done things on my own. I know that my A-level teacher at night school, she was an inspiration to me in the way that she used to teach. And she was great. She was very supportive. And I had some really good, I mean, I was probably older than some of the lecturers that I had when I was being a student. So I've always been very lucky to get on with people, no matter what level they have been at. So I've always tried to, be those kind of people, although I am just me. I mean, I do what I do because that's me. But I haven't really had strong influences in my life too much. But Angelica, I've forgotten your question.
My question was whether you're doing this because this is also what you had, or because it's what you wanted to have.
No, I think it's because of what I want people to have, what I probably didn't have. I mean, yes, the academic stuff is there. Yes, some of the skill, but I wanted to go beyond that. I wanted to give students more. So if there's any opportunities that I see, like the Law Society dinner last year, I met up with the director of the Young Lives Foundation. He talked about appropriate adults, and now I'm thinking, well, actually, maybe appropriate adults. So I've organised that, even though some students have already done it. I've organised it for the lady to come down, talk. It's another opportunity that students can engage in. And, some people will find it hard. Some people will absolutely love it. But it's something that goes on to their CV that will actually help them in the future. So it's probably things that I didn't have. And I didn't have as many opportunities back when I did my law degree, and I certainly didn't have them when I was in my first sort of like educational, back in the 80s. I mean, that's way before your time. So, if there's any opportunity I can give, it's because I want to give them that opportunity. Yeah.
It's interesting that you're bringing these different things like the appropriate adult initiative, you sort of that the negotiation idea, client interviewing, and most recently school tasking, which has been an absolute success. So what motivates you to keep doing this kind of amazing work and wanting to keep pushing the barriers and keep doing great work and introducing these things for the students?
I suppose it's keeping. I suppose it's doing things with students that are different, and I think you won't have opportunities in the future. I mean, with the school tasking, I was kind of like pinpointed for this. So it was not something that I actually went out and did myself, this particular project. But when they sort of said to me, "Would you like to do it?" I thought, okay, let's see how this goes. And I have to say, it's exceeded what I thought it would be. It's been so much fun. But I think that's another avenue, for students to see what it's like on the other side. Teaching 9, 10-year-olds is a tough gig, in terms of trying to keep them engaged and everything. And I think students appreciate what we go through. But it also gives them the opportunity to think, well, if something like the law career doesn't take off, because it's tough, getting a training contract and a pupillage at the moment, there's everybody wants to do it, that there's another avenue that you could explore in teaching. And I think that providing these opportunities, and if they keep coming up, I'll keep taking them on as long as I am able to do it and I've got the space to do it. I will keep trying to do different things, because I think, life is long, hopefully, and you may change your minds, of what you want to do. And if you've experienced it now in this environment where you're supposed to be safe and people are guiding you and things like that, it will hopefully one day. I mean, I've had students that say, "Oh my God, no, I'm not doing teaching. I can't do teaching." But then you've got students that go, "Oh my God, I quite like this. Maybe it's something I want to go into." So again, those kind of opportunities, if I can push for more, I will do.
Thank you. That's very interesting because obviously you're saying these things now that you have a lot of experience and you got to experience yourself different kind of paths, as you said. So obviously we have touched upon this a little bit already, but I wanted to make it very clear to our members as to what Jo now, with the knowledge she has now, would tell herself when she was young, before at least before joining the academia and the Kent Law School, more precisely.
I think that I mean, I did actually want to try to be a teacher very early on in my career, but I was told I didn't have a degree. There's no point in me applying, which was way back when. So I went, oh, right, okay. Which is another reason why it prompted me to look into a degree when I was in my mid-30s, doing law, because I thought if all else fails, I will get a degree, because I always felt as if, you know, that was something that was missing. Because I basically went to college to do my catering and hospitality qualifications. So there was always that. So I think the young Jo, I think I would be saying, you know, explore the opportunities at university, because I think it does open doors. And I think that being away, even though it was only a college back then, I mean, it is a university now, but being away from home and growing up, I think it was, you know, that was the turning point for me. And I think that the young Jo, I would probably think, you know, do something that you enjoy. And I in a way, I wish I had actually got into academia a lot sooner. I might have been burnt out by now, but I think the young Jo, I think the where I've got to now is because of what I went through anyway. So I don't think I probably would have changed anything, apart from the fact I might have gone for a degree maybe earlier than what I did. But I think I was in the right place at the right time when I did it. A law degree, I think a law degree at 18, I wouldn't have got through it. So I do admire students taking their law degrees at 18, because I think it's a tough one, and I do admire all of you for actually going through it, because I know at 18 I would not have got through it.
That's very interesting to get to know. Actually, I was not expecting it, at least personally. Yeah.
Well, I think I left home and I think I partied a little bit too hard. So I think, you know, that would have probably impacted on the stuff I would have been asked to do.
You know, Jo, you know, you mentioned that if it weren't for what you've already experienced, you wouldn't be where you are. And perhaps this question wouldn't suit based on what you've just said, it wouldn't suit to ask, but it's important, I think. Do you have any regrets?
No, I don't think I have, because, you know, the stuff, you know, the hospitality allowed me to be able to talk to people. I mean, I've always been good at talking. I think when my dad said to me, what do you want to do when you leave school? He said, you're good at cooking, you're good at socializing, you're good at drinking. Hospitality is the thing for you, which I suppose at the time was right. I just fell into the manufacturing and selling, but being able to talk to people was so much part of it. And I think when I got to my mid-30s and I needed to do something that was more rewarding, you know, doing a degree, I understood what it was like to be in the working world. I understood what it was like, you know, getting up at 8, getting in the library, leaving at whatever time, hitting those deadlines and things. And it, you know, things spiraled for the better, thank goodness. So I think that I don't have any regrets. I don't think I've got any regrets, because I don't think I would have done as well as what I've done. If I'd have taken my law degree at 18, I probably would have failed, because I don't think I had that. It's really hard to think, because I know what I was like at 18, and I know I probably would have done it, because I would have had to have done it, but I think I would have struggled doing it. So I think I everything happened for a reason, and I think I kind of built up to where I am now. So I don't think I've got any regrets in one way. The one regret I may have had is that I went to bar school, And that because I was swayed by the pomp and ceremony of the legal world, which I loved. I loved all of that, you know, the inns, the dinners, everything like that. If I'd have been true to myself, I would have said I'm better with people. And I probably would have gone the solicitor route rather than the barrister route. So that might have been, but the thing is, if I hadn't have done the bar, I wouldn't be where I am now. So in that way, there is no regrets.
I see.
Sliding doors.
Yeah.
If I'd have gone solicitor, I would make, you know, it could have been a completely different story now.
We would not be talking right now, so it's
No.
fine the way it is.
Yeah. So no, I don't think there are any regrets.
Well, then having talked about the past and the present, the only thing we are missing here is the future. So because you have no regrets, is there any idea of the way you want, or perhaps you do indeed see yourself in the next 5 years?
So in the next 5 years, I'm looking to retire, because I am that old. I don't look like Radana. I'm older than what you think I am. So you know, there are things that you start thinking of, but I was at Kent taught, and I've been at Kent as an academic. I really hope I will still be here. You know, there are things that are going on behind the scenes, which hopefully may help with the work-life balance a lot more, because I think that's what I'm missing, is the work-life balance. So hopefully I will still be doing what I'm doing now in 5 years' time, still creating opportunities. I might be a little bit more tired more quickly. But you know, I think in 5 years' time, I'm creating a couple of modules now, which I hope will take off in a couple of years, you know, and they will work. Maybe go for promotion, I don't know. It may be that it may be time to think about moving on, because obviously, you know, the things that are happening behind the scenes might take over. But at the moment, everything is good here. And if the work-life balance works out, then hopefully that will work to Kent's advantage. Why are you two giggling?
No, I don't want it. The thought of you retiring is a bit like, okay, I'm getting stressed. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, you're graduating, so you know, I mean,
Yeah,
I'll
but
still
Joe,
be on WhatsApp, but
no, you
you
will be
know,
on WhatsApp, and I'm gonna send you like stickers of when I was a child, because I only send those to certain people, as responses to messages. No, but okay, it would be selfish, but I think it's like, you know, it's people like you that make up the law school. You know, it's like we remember this place for being taught by people like you. You know, I remember like at university, and I was telling this to Emek as well, at university, you think that it's very fast paced, so you wouldn't have these kind of relationships with people. But when you do, it lasts, because at university, you're at such a time in your life where you're growing up, you're going through changes as well. But at the same time, it's like, I remember from first year, you would have these like drop-in sessions for criminal law. It's just these things that like give comfort. It's like a comfort blanket where it's like, okay, you don't have to understand everything in one go. You have this time where you can get that support. And I think I kind of build that rapport with you from then onwards. I was so stupid to think that those were like compulsory, and I would just show up to
I
everyone.
mean, yes, I mean, those module hours in COVID times, they weren't sort of like, they were compulsory for us to do them, but they weren't compulsory for you to attend them. But the amount of people that did actually sort of like come to those and just sit and talk, and I think in those times it was important, because there was no what I was used to, which is, you know, you're on campus, you're chatting to people, you go for coffees and things, and in COVID times you couldn't do that. So trying to build those relationships was difficult. And I think that, you know, seeing your faces constantly every week in those module hours, and I'm not just talking just you, I think it was a lot of people, it kind of got us through that as well. Because, you know, when you see people in real life, you go, oh, that's what you look like. And, oh, I didn't realize you were as tall or as small as what you were, you sort of thing. And it starts that, you know, the conversation sort of thing. So Yeah, but I think that when you start getting sort of, you do have to start thinking about what's happening when you do get older. But I do think that it's a village that builds you. But independent people do have more of an impact on certain people, and I think we're very lucky in Kent that we do have those particular people that are very important in students' lives.
And so, as much as it's unfortunate that we have to wrap up, but to wrap up, Jo Thompson in 3 words.
This is really difficult because I don't say anything with his. I always chat, so it's really difficult to try and contain it. I think passionate, exhausted, but proud.
Amazing.
I think proud in what I've achieved, but I'm also proud of what students have achieved, because when you see what happens beyond the degree, I'm like, yeah, I had a little part in that, and I think that is proud both ways. Is that okay?
That's
yeah,
that's amazing.
That's more
It's better than therapy, this, isn't it?
We should do this more often.
Yeah,
No,
maybe
this is
not so.
amazing.
Yeah, but not recorded.
Yes, you're right. Because the behind the scenes conversation is going to be the interesting
Oh,
part.
it's so much funnier, so much funnier, and so much more open. I mean, I've had to contain myself a little bit now because, yeah, it can be, and I mean that's the thing. I am very open, and I do say probably rather too much, which is probably why the students like it, because I'm so honest.
No, but this has been amazing, Jo, and thank you for your time. I think our members are going to thoroughly enjoy this, and I think as a concluding episode, 2 or 3-part podcast series, this kind of like brought it together because you kind of were like the glue to the other
Oh,
2.
that's nice. That's kind of you. That's kind of it. I think, Emic is a law unto herself, and Guevara, oh my God, he makes me laugh every day. And I just think, we wouldn't get through these hard times without the people around you, and it is tough. So, thank you for allowing me to offload.
Of course. And so that will conclude the podcast. So goodbye, everyone. And hopefully the next academic year will bring you another podcast series. If not, keep listening to these on repeat. Right, guys? Bye-bye.
Bye.